trying to get things going on my laptop so I can keep an eye on things. The laptop has to think about it. Anyways, so what we are doing today is the O spread for Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness. And this one's going to be just a few sort of random drawings. So some smaller ones as I try and get the phone mount to behave itself, and it's not. Never mind. So we'll just have a sort of a trapezoidal view as I muck around. Yeah, if I move it there, whatever. Good enough. So we're going to have a little distortion, but that's totally fine. So, it's O for Myles' Pursuit of Happiness. And I'll move it down a little bit. So, I've got a few things going on. First of all, he's going to be doing some origami. We're going to have some optical illusions, which should be fun. We're going to have oarsmen named, well, technically Myles is the coxswain of this rowing team, but he's yelling at oarsmen, which is close enough. And then on the second page, he's going to be going over and doing his ophthalmology exam. Optometrist, ophthalmologist. I can sort of spell ophthalmologist, but not very well. And then we've got more optical illusions, which is kind of my justification for including these. And then he's going to be betting on some ostrich racing. So let's get right at it. And we're going to start with the skinnier. Excuse me. I probably shouldn't be holding the shot glass with the ink over top of the art, but anyways, we're going to be starting with a skinnier nib at the beginning and moving on from there. It was actually all day today I've been doing some video stuff. Actually, I have another channel that's ASMR videos, which I don't really mention here. It's a brand new channel actually, but anyways, I started the morning filming some stuff for that. Then I've been editing some clips out of last week's live streams and turning them into shorts. So got a schedule. I've got 3 off of Friday's Ricky B. Rat stream. So we'll get those up for later in the week. And now it's time for the live stream. And this is the first week of me starting a little later, but I figure that way it's a little more consistent once I start in on my Wednesday and Thursday streams, because, yeah, I wasn't going to be able to start those at 6. So anyways, so away we go. Myles here has his little pompadour hairdo. Do not get any ideas about this being any sort of wig or toupee. He will kick your ass if you suggest that. Not saying whether that's true or not, but, you know, Myles gets offended easily. Oh, we got a couple folks. Hello, Penny on Pause. Only one here, I guess. No, there's a few other people watching, but sometimes, you know, and I do it myself where I'll watch a stream and I'll be like, I'm just going to listen and not worry too much about typing in the chat. But yeah, there are a few other folks watching as well. So welcome to the stream. And let's see here. Bit of an awkward angle. Oops, now there's sunglasses, but bit of an awkward angle for drawing glasses kind of hanging down the nose, but that's what makes it kind of visually interesting. So there we go. And the ink I'm using is, what is it called? Demco India ink. I sometimes use the Speedball as well. the super black, but I've been loving this Demco stuff lately. Next time I'm at the art supply store, I might suck it up and get a really big bottle of it, but we'll worry about that down the road. Nice drawing. Thank you. This is, just say for anyone who's new to my stream, what I'm working on here is, this is my character Myles, who's half mouse, half rat. And he's one of the characters in a different project I'm working on, Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat. Myles is Ricky's girlfriend's cousin. I had decided to do a little book that would be all about Myles, and wasn't sure at first if I was going to do it as a graphic novel or what, but I think it's going to end up being actually a collection of short stories, and then these spreads that I'm working on in the streams will be kind of like chapter headings. Of course, I haven't written the stories yet, so but that's kind of an interesting way to work too. I often will start with have the story totally done, and then I figure out the drawings from there, but I'm doing it completely backwards for the Myles thing, which also in a way kind of, then I have to come up with totally different stories because I'm thinking first and foremost about what would be fun to draw, and then I'll figure out how to make it make sense later. So always good sometimes to kind of work forwards, backwards, change up how your routine, that sort of thing. So that's what this book is. And the working title is Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness. So we're kind of getting into things Myles likes to do, although some spreads will also have where one half is him being miserable, and then he's got a thought bubble, and the other half is what he'd rather be doing, which actually that was kind of what we had last week with him in the nightclub, but then kind of daydreaming about being home on the sofa instead. Oh, what big hands you have, Myles. Hello, Barack Obama official. I'm going to go ahead and guess that perhaps this is not the official. But I think for a while, Barack Obama's Twitter account was like following all sorts of random people. Years ago, I think that account was even following me, and I was like, I don't follow US politics. And it seemed to be the official one, but I think what was going on is, I think that was kind of back in the days when everybody on social media was kind of doing the follow for follow, or I don't know. It was very strange. I don't think it lasted long. I think at some point, whoever was running the account was like, this is stupid. Why are we following random Canadian broads? I mean, one would like to think that world leaders would follow my art, but I kind of don't think so. Easy. Hello, thank you for your kind comments. Nice style. Speaking of style, it was actually earlier, it was on the weekend or last week, I was looking through some stuff from my very first webcomic back in like the MySpace days. It's a comic called Zommel the Destroyer I did from 2006 to 2009, something like that. And when I look at that, I mean, the subject matter is different, but the line work style and everything is like so dead on. 20 years later, it's like, oh, here, for years I thought I didn't have a style, and then I look at my old work and realize, oh no, it's the same way of drawing the lines, same treatment of the hair, same everything. think a lot of times we kind of think about, you know, style is what we admire in different artists as opposed to the way we make our own art or something like that. I don't know that that's the most accurate depiction of an origami crane, but it's going to be close enough. So now, usually I work top left down to bottom right, so I think what we're going to do is start mucking around with this. It's supposed to be kind of a stripy effect of an optical illusion, because that'll jive with the other page of the spread we'll get to in a, well, I was going to say shortly, but probably an hour or so. And that one is the one in which Myles is having an eye exam, so that's why we're doing some optical illusions over on this side. Probably isn't the best nib to be doing for this, but we'll see. Yeah. In fact, I think I am going to switch to a slightly fatter nib. This particular style of nib also, because it's got like a round pad on the bottom almost, as opposed to a pointier nib, it kind of wants to slide a little more rather than digging in. So that's kind of useful. We'll see how convincing the optical illusion stuff turns out, because sometimes, you know, it doesn't quite look the way you expect it to when you draw it by hand. I see you again. Okay, great. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon. On the note of seeing soon, I should say this is the first week that I'm going to be streaming every weeknight. So I was doing Monday, Tuesday, Friday, but I'm planning on adding a couple more streams on the Wednesdays and Thursdays. So basically every night of the week, at least according to the current new schedule, you will be able to catch me working on something or other. I have a feeling that this section of story, well, it's starting to have that wavy effect now. It's funny, I was about to say, oh, the optical illusion isn't working, then like one stroke, and it's like, oh, now I'm starting to see a 3D effect. Okay. Maybe I'm imagining it. I think you probably just need to have a certain amount built up before it starts to take effect. It's funny, my friends and I used to do this kind of doodling in our notebooks all the time. Now that seems a lot harder than it used to be, but mind you, we used to do it in math class, so maybe the trick is you just have to have somebody droning on about the quadratic equation or whatever. And then suddenly it becomes really easy to just doodle patterns. I am, in the end, I will end up scanning in these pages, so areas where it's a little rough, I will definitely like tidy that up in Photoshop and whatnot. I'll try and make it as tidy as I can tonight, but I'm not too concerned about, absolute perfection because, well, first of all, some would argue it doesn't exist. And also, there's always the chance for a mulligan to break out the Photoshop and fix things. And I will, when I go over to do line work on the next drawing, using the thinner nib again, I will also probably go over some of the edges of this to tighten it up just a little bit. Is that a Jew? No. No, he is. He belongs to a cartoon universe where pretty much everybody's either a rat or a mouse, and he's half rat, half mouse. To the extent that anything about religion has turned up in the comics, he actually gets dragged to church, so some sort of pseudo-Catholic, I suppose. But we don't really get into the nitty-gritty of, faith stuff in this world because I figure most of my characters probably aren't exactly great theologians and wouldn't really know. So I think I will bring this down as far as kind of close to his tail so that kind of echoes the arc a little bit. Don't know if that picks up in my mic, but somebody's dog is objecting to somebody else's dog over on the sidewalk. Yeah, that is sort of, it's messy. We definitely need to come in with a thinner nib to tidy up some stuff, but we are starting to get that, you know, the waviness. So it's nice when that sort of stuff actually turns out, because for a few minutes I was like, oh no, this is just going to look like wavy lines. It's not going to have the optical illusion effect, but you know. This goes to show, sometimes you just got to trust the process and keep going. After all, if you screw up, you can always redraw it. This is what I'm doing is picking images related to each layer of the alphabet and going through, because long ago in 2023 when I first started this project, and then I ended up setting it down for a while, but it was based on Struthless's alphabet superset challenge. And then, so anyways, each one is that, but so this is the letter O, and there's, I think, 3 spreads that I'm gonna redraw at least in part. The A spread for one, I like the concept, but I think I was also using it like a really thick nib, so I couldn't get the fine details, which kind of was driving me nuts. And even more recently, wasn't happy with how, I liked the idea I had for the L spread, but I don't think I drew it very well that night. So I'll redraw that. And then M, again, I like the concept, but parts of it I like, parts of it I don't. So the nice thing with this is you can always kind of trace the area if you don't like something, redraw it, and then splice them together in Photoshop, or I usually use Procreate. I do have Photoshop, but my Photoshop is on like a really old like MacBook Pro from like 2008. It works, but everything's really slow. So I tend to use Procreate on my iMac or not my iMac, iPad for most photo editing stuff. And also have Clip Studio Pro. But anyways, this sort of area, like I would probably do a little bit of tidying up with the eraser tool in one of those, but yeah. Hi, Katerina. How's it going? Good. Glad to hear you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Making some decent progress on this little project. And oops. And then I immediately smear some ink that had spread, but splattered that I didn't realize. But that's okay. Again, what did I say? Photoshop. We can fix things later. But actually, that's going to be in water, so I might not even need to fix that. We do have one more of these little optical illusion things. So we'll get through that, and then do it a little bit different than I had drawn it, but that is okay. It looks very nice. Oh, thank you. Glad you like it. flip this upside down because that area is still wet and I have a sense of impending drag my knuckles over the wet ink. So we will make a little turn so as to avoid that. No worries. Welcome back, Penny. Okay, now to start drawing the bottom scene. Actually, before I do that, I may, in fact, I think I will grab the fatter nib and darken in Myles's jacket. Once this runs out. I just saw that. Hi, Cammy Gill. How's it going? this sort of drawing of Myles is the coxswain. Kind of goes back to a Tuesday stream I did a month or so ago, something like that, where it was back when the Tuesday streams were still kind of general brainstorming kind of streams. And I had one that was all like sports drawings, so I had Myles as the coxswain for a rowing team there. Not in this exact pose, but that was like marker sketch sort of idea. Figured, I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure being the coxswain of a rowing team is probably the only way you can get a gold medal for screaming at people, which seems very much like the sort of sports activity that Myles would be interested in. So now we're getting a kind of a finalized drawing version of it. And then I'd also done some brainstorming in other sketchbooks off stream. So Myles in his pompadour, trying to kind of keep it together, I guess. Or if it's a windy day, he must have a lot of hairspray in there. But give Myles a little bit of a belly on him. And according to the lore of my podcast, which granted I'm not doing it really as a podcast, but it's my other graphic novel, Ricky B, the Rock and Roll Rat, Ricky has said, and when I've done it as a podcast, he has said of Myles that Myles does not skip seconds and he does not skip desserts. So, we want to show that a little bit. He's not fat, but he doesn't skip dessert. So do want to be careful here. I do think we do have a little bit. Well, this is going to be the gutter in between the pages of the book. And I think that one is going to just stop. Well, I'll think about that. But I do want this to kind of... Yeah, actually, we'll probably not have that start on this page because it would end up being a very huge looking mountain, or it would look like a mountain. It wouldn't read quite correctly. But anyways, we'll get to this other page in a moment. Well, or 15. So back to the oarsmen. And probably the dude's face here is just going to get cut off because this is probably going to be printed as full bleed, which means usually you lose about a 1/4 inch when the, or you could lose up to a 1/4 inch when the book is trimmed. So it'll probably look a little bit disembodied with just an arm reaching forward, pulling the oars, but you know, the oarsmen aren't really important to the story. It's a book about Myles, so. I have to think about this bow wave. I have done this backwards, haven't I? Because the boat is going that way, which means the wave is going that. Okay. Right. Well, again, we will fix that in Photoshop. I guess you can tell that the only rowing I have done is on a machine in the gym. Well, it just goes to show, when you look at your reference images, there are details that you need to pay attention to beyond just the pose. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's actually like the national team, Team Canada, for the rowing that happens around here. I think there might be a provincial team that practices in one of the local lakes. And perhaps what I need to do is see if I can find out when they practice and go and do some sketches. Oh, you just say fixed boat. This might end up going on the spreads that need to be redrawn list. Oh well. Well, let's get a fatter nib and add some heavier darks. And the fact that things will need to be redrawn later, well, that just means that there's extra streams that will be dedicated to this book before I move on to a different project on Monday nights. But he will be working on this book, I think, definitely through the summer, because I think O is the 15th letter of the alphabet. So then there would be 11 more to go, basically 3 months, and then there's a few that need to be redrawn. So yeah, we'll be working on this April, May, June, July, possibly into August. I do like Myles's pose and his screaming. I think we will leave this side as it is for the moment, and we will move on to page 2. So now I have a decision to make. Am I going to continue this particular optical illusion next to Myles, or are we going to cut it off because he is here, he is at the optometrist's office. So maybe we cut it off and then we have just this optical illusion-y type of stuff around him. And I think that's what we will do. So let's get cracking with it. I had to look up how these lens things that the eye doctor uses actually look on the outside. I have been in glasses since I was in 2nd grade, and then I've been wearing contacts since I was like 14. So believe me, I have spent a fair amount of time in the ophthalmologist chair or optometrist chair with this thing down in front of my face doing the 1 or 2. 1 or 2, which is better, 1 or 2. But it looks different from the other side. I was like, okay, what the hell does this thing actually look like if you're from like the doctor's perspective? Yeah, anyways. Also, I think it, oh yeah, I think it has like some sort of a gizmo-y arm on it, which is going to interrupt our view of Myles. Okay, that nib is... You know, at a certain point, this particular nib even though I have bowls of water over on the side that I soak my pens in when I'm when I'm using the other pen, which should stop the ink from drying in it. But without fail, okay, we're a little more than 45 minutes into the stream. And always, it seems, every stream, by the time we hit the 45-minute mark, even though that nib has been soaking, it no longer wants to draw. But it'll be fine for the next stream. Anyways, whatever. This is why we have multiple nibs. So, need to draw on some sort of like a arm thingamajig hanging down from the ceiling that this stuff is going to attach to. But we will still be able to see a little bit of Myles's Elvis pompadour, Elvis wannabe pompadour, poking out on top. And a little bit of his ears, which are then going to kind of blend in with how this thing looks. So that part is light. That part I think is dark. Maybe. I don't know. And the little screw thingy that pivots on, and then you've got two lenses here. Are you serious now? This other nib? Technical difficulty. No, now it's drying. Okay, never mind. I was going to say technical difficulties, but nope. think these ones are actually lenses. I don't know why they'd be up there. They must be ones that swoop down or something. These are dials. Those are the lenses, and those are like the 1 or 2, you know, when the dock is flipping back and forth quickly. But, Myles could probably have laser eye surgery so as to not have to wear the glasses, but, you know, he probably is one of those guys who likes wearing them because he thinks they make him look much smarter than everybody else. See a little bit of his whiskers poking out from behind the eye lens gizmo, whatever it's called. Drawn his Adam's apple way too low there, but that's okay. That's where his t-shirt collar will go. Flip this upside down so I can color in the chair because I forgot that I should have been doing that all along. Kind of annoying. The back of that nib is actually full of ink, but it's not really wanting to come out. Anyways, we will come in with the fatter nib to really darken in the jacket afterwards, but it's nice to kind of have a little of the texture of the thinner nib as well, because then any sort of highlight areas won't just be solid white. They'll have, you know, this texture within them. So now this particular nib really does dig into this paper, more so than the other skinny nib, but it is what it is. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch of optical illusion stuff to draw again. So, just debating now. Debating whether I should flip things upside down, but I think no, I should be fine. slightly different nib. I'm going to use a fatter nib to fill these in, but I just want to give the indication of which one has color and, well, black, not really color, and which one does not. Probably actually do that kind of now, because I will forget. Oh, that's the big one. So. Somehow, I messed up, but it's okay. We'll just have this side be halves instead of quarters. I think it's time to break out entirely new nibs because we are having problems with these ones. All right, what have I got? A little dish I made that is actually Myles's dad. He's taking hand-built ceramics. Well, no, a series of hand-built ceramics classes in the last couple years. So that's Larry Sr. Now, let's see. So we'll try B5. Hi, Leo. How's it going? I think Leo might be gone because I didn't notice that message in time, but hello anyways. entirely certain how much this black and white patterning on this page is actually doing the optical illusion thing that I thought it was going to do, but it kind of looks cool. Hi, Benny. Hello again. almost through the last of the sort of quasi-optical illusion stuff to get down to the last scene, but in fact, I think I'm going to turn it into kind of a bunting effect now. Kind of ignore what I had drawn already. So we're going to do that. Always fun to see how much the paper wants to cup, especially when you have some areas are heavily inked and then some that aren't. But after this has been sitting drying for overnight or so, well, actually probably longer than overnight, I'll probably find somewhere where I can let it sit for a few days even. And then once I'm 100% certain that it is indeed dry, then I have a little folder that I've got all of the work for this book in, and then the weight of it will flatten it out. So now, on to our last scene. It is the O spread, so we've got optical illusions, we've got Myles is going to the optometrist, and then on the first page we had Myles yelling at the oarsmen and Myles doing origami and more optical illusions. But I think he's going to be playing his odds on an ostrich race, and that will be our last scene of the night. So let's get right to it. I think I'm going to, this may drive me, I may regret doing this very shortly, because it's probably going to be annoying to deal with, but I think I am going to go with a bit of a crow quill for some grass. Now, that one's too small. If I can find one that fits this holder. Maybe the other one? Yes, I think the other one. Yeah. So this is going to be scratchy, which is going to be kind of like annoying in a sensory manner, but it's also going to be very, very, very fine lines for, or, you know, just straight up no lines. Never mind. Okay, that one wants to, sometimes with the really fine nibs, the points just want to separate and then you cannot get ink out of them. This is why I don't normally use those, but I do want a really fine line here. So what am I gonna do? We'll give this one more shot with a different crow quill. If this does not cooperate, no, well, that's kind of doing. Glad that didn't land on the paper. Okay, well, that is not gonna work. Honestly never had good luck with the super, super tiny crow quill type nibs like that. But I thought I would give it a day in court. We'll go with the glass pen. This one usually cooperates with me. Not always, usually. So there we go. We'll assume that this ostrich racetrack is, well, first of all, running up into the bunting, which, whatever. And secondly, that the grass in the middle of the course is allowed to grow long enough that we can see it from being fairly far behind even Myles. But you know what? Never let reality get in the way. Well, first of all, reality. It's a talking half mouse, half rat dude. Never let plausibility get in the way of a good drawing. That's what I always say. Or even in the way of a mediocre drawing. Actually, while we're on the topic of plausibility, Myles's elbow should be on an armrest. He is up there, but anyways, I'll fill that in afterwards. funny. As far as I know with the glass pens, any part of the tip should work as the nib, but I find with this one, if I turn it certain ways, it does not work nearly as well. And this is just one of the cheap Amazon glass pens. The only thing that's annoying with this one, which I would recommend somebody watch out for if you're planning on ordering your own glass nib pen or glass pen, is because of the twist, you get areas that they look cool and yeah, you can grip, but they also kind of like dig into your knuckles. So I've seen others where it's more like a smoother thing like this ballpoint. So I would definitely recommend that you kind of take a close look at the photo of the one that you're going to order and the shape, because some of them will not be nearly as comfortable. And now we're having that same thing where I twisted it and now it's technical difficulties. And there, now it's working great. But if I twisted it just the tiniest bit, and even looking at the tip with a magnifier or with my reading glasses, all sides of the tip of this pen look identical to me. But like I said, there are certain sides that just simply will not draw. All right, now let's try drawing. It does not want to draw a thicker line, so that's fine. Back to the other nib. to the glass pen for the really fine lines on these ostriches. Okay. Yeah, when I feel that the end all feels the same. So I don't know why if I give it one position it draws great and the next and a tiny slight turn and it won't draw at all. Whatever. I'm going to take the fatter nib and add some darker areas in. Although I think I just grabbed one that isn't actually fat enough. I'll take the big guy. And this one I find is pretty good for getting kind of like a dirt look, or I don't know, to my eyes kind of looks a little, you know, mucky, dirt, earth, soil kind of. But you want it kind of half empty, so that's why I'm kind of knocking some ink off of it, off to the side. Let's also add some toning into the grass to give it a little depth itself. All right, I think that is gonna be it for tonight's stream. So, what did we do? We did the O spread for the book I'm working on, Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness. Keep getting notifications, but we'll just ignore those. So, let me stand up a bit so I can kind of see what we're doing. So this is the first page, and again, we've got a bit of a weird tilt on the phone today. So Myles yelling at oarsmen, some optical illusions. That one being the most successful, I think, of the ones I did today. An origami. And then he's at the optometrist, and he's bidding on ostriches. So that's going to be it for tonight's streams. This is the first stream of the week. Tomorrow I am actually doing a marker stream, not an inking stream, but it will be brainstorming and doing some quick sketches for the 2027 calendar projects that I want to do. So we will be doing some random drawings. I don't know if we'll get through all 12 months tomorrow, but we'll kind of get at least the first couple sketched so that I can start the week after on actual inking. And then Wednesday, brand new stream. First time I'm doing a Wednesday stream, and that will be inking. It'll actually be inking a comic project. I used to do a webcomic called Zoma the Destroyer from 2006 to 2009, and I was looking through archives of the material I found. I was going to do a reboot, I guess, in 2014, and I had drawn it, like the blue underdrawing that I still use to this day, and then I just never, I didn't letter it, I didn't ink it. Well, maybe I lettered it, but there is text on there, so I think I did do the lettering, but I didn't ink it. So I'm thinking of doing a Zoma the Destroyer book, so we will go ahead and ink that starting on Wednesday. So the Wednesday streams for the next month, I guess, we'll be working on that. And then Thursday, new stream, again, working on my Noah's Archipelago stuff. And that is also going to be kind of a brainstorming stream because I want to do a coloring book for Noah. And we're going to start with plotting out some thumbnails and whatnot. And then on Friday, we will be inking 2, maybe even 3, but probably just 2 pages from Ricky B Goes to Sea, my graphic novel. So, hope you've enjoyed this week's Myles Maarav inking, and of course next Monday we'll be working on the next spread, which will be the letter P. And yeah, that's it for tonight's show. Talk to you all real soon, and bye for now. Bye-bye.